My name is Calvin Crosslin. I'm the VP of HR, Chief Diversity Officer, and President of the Lenovo Foundation. It's a compelling case for many people to say this is the right thing to do, the moral, the ethical thing to do. But everyone in business is trying to win, and I think there's a lot of data that would support that if you have diverse teams, you have a much more competitive team. 1989. Coming out of college, I wasn't coming from a premier school and I didn't have the best grades, so I knew I was going to have to interview well and I was going to have to interview frequently. Oftentimes when I was on a phone screen, the interviewer would be very enthusiastic about speaking to me. In many cases, come down right now. But oftentimes the vibe would change once I arrived. And in one particular instance, I was in Manhattan and I walked into the office and the person said, fairly matter-of-factly, "You didn't sound black on the phone." So my initial reaction, obviously, somewhat angry, somewhat shocked, and because of the conversation we ended up having, it also gave me a glimpse into some of the factors that I was facing. And from that experience, it really inspired me to say, I really want to be in a position of influence so that someday perhaps people won't have to face overt bias and in some cases unconscious bias in the interviewing and hiring process. What you really want to try to do is drive an organization where our leadership team reflects that of our overall representation. And of course, you want to drive your overall representation to be that of overall representation in the IT industry. I have been fortunate to have some phenomenal mentors in my life over my career and also in my personal life. Renee York, I've learned a tremendous amount from her, not only in terms of leadership, but in terms of how you drive a business. And my predecessor, Yolanda Conyers, she's just been phenomenal as a mentor, a sponsor, and a coach. And so I try to do the same. I try to pay forward to my mentees. I think everyone that's ever helped me, when I asked what I could do for them, and they said pay forward. There's nothing you can do to help me, but you can pay forward. So that's the thing, is I try to be the best mentor, coach, and sponsor I can be. I've always had a passion for motorcycles, and my oldest son, he wanted to race motorcycles, so we jumped behind him and supported him, and within 2 years of starting as an amateur, he turned professional. It became something he and I did together, and we've become very, very close as a result. When you do the type of racing that my son and I do, which is endurance racing, it's a team effort. I think a lot of it is around leadership and knowing when to lead and knowing to follow. Particularly in a very crisis situation when everyone's adrenaline is focused, is a lesson that you can take into the work environment. Because we're all very collaborative, but we're also very competitive. The one thing about Lenovo and our DNA is that when we set a goal, or it may be aspirational, but we believe it's achievable and we intend to achieve those targets. I think the ideal goal for most people in this space, as I talk to my contemporaries that do chief diversity work, is you really like to see yourself work yourself out of a job, right? That this is no longer a position that's needed. To know that you have the backing of people and the commitment to see us move in a positive direction in this space is incredible.